Sorry to go.
Can't connect that.
Okay, that's pretty slick.
Okay. Go ahead and call our meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That comes through, John.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one item on our agenda, and that is to have Gabe present a preliminary plat review for subdivision development.
Yes, and we have. So I think you guys all got the packet I sent. And you know that since I quit zoning, I've been building houses and so we had these 3 lots over on Oswald, and the one middle one I'm not gonna develop that one right away because it's gonna need a basement because of the grade change. I think it could be a really nice property, but at any rate, last year at this time, I had the opportunity to buy these lots on Bell Street. It's actually technically Bell and Starry. And so then, but knowing that there was no infrastructure, right? It's been subdivided. So, and it's zoned R1. And that's exactly where I'm living as far as the development space. And so then I went about throwing it into CAD and just looking at how you can make this all work, I've talked to the town and gotten all the information as far as where the connections would be for water, for sewer, for and I've talked to some of the neighboring property owners. We've discussed stormwater drainage. I talked to the electrical is there for most of the lots. And I've spoken to the gas company. I got a quote on it'll take some type of a pressure regulation station to expand. Apparently they're pretty maxed out what they currently have. And so then we have had some connection with all-purpose construction. They did the Maumee Landing subdivision infrastructure. And that was a business that I worked with when I was in construction. And so I was able to, as far as determining the number of feet of water line, sewer line, I looked at several different configurations as far as looking at how the lots could be divided. And if you look at the plat that I sent you, I think I gave you the original one. It shows, I don't have mine highlighted on there, but I'm about here on this, and hopefully you can see from here. But you know, the cost to install this is pretty steep. And initially the idea was to use a TIP, which is a tax increment funding system, where, and essentially that's what it's would boil down to in my proposal. Um, but, the, there was a lot of confusion there because of, there's been a lot of talk in Columbus about property taxes and what might happen with all that. I think there might be a constitutional amendment petition circulating that might propose that they be completely eliminated. But that would, have to go before the people. So I don't know what would happen there. But the state legislature, I feel like, has done taken some proactive steps to try and address those issues. And that tax increment district that I was looking at really is how a lot or the majority of new developments go. So the whole point is you create the district, and then as the property values increase, right? If you go from essentially nothing on an empty lot with no infrastructure to a $350,000 house, now you're going from essentially no revenue to, well, I can show you some more of that. So I did get my slides going. I don't know if you did. So here's what I sent you first. This is can you see that, Brian?
Yes, sir.
I'm the only one who can. So it's a great location. I don't think anybody would argue with that, being that close to the school, the park. I mean, having the water tower and the cell tower right there is probably not super ideal, but it's still, as far as, I think you couldn't ask for, a better location. So, but this kind of got broke back in the 70s, the interest rates were crazy. I'm not sure what the whole deal was. The guy that had developed it also did the houses there on Cruise, right? He did those first, and then had this all subdivided. But I don't know if he got sick or just went bankrupt, but at any rate, the subdivision needs infrastructure. I think being that close to the school, the park, all this stuff, we need, and like this subdivision at least could have sidewalks, street lights, things that will make it safe and walkable. And these will be updated house designs. And my goal is to try and keep it affordable. The affordable anymore though is
Expensive.
it's a whole different definition than it was 10 or 15 years ago, but still, incomes are increasing. Houses are still selling. I had the first house sold before it was finished. I've got some leads already on this next one. I'm not worried about selling them. I'm not saying they're all going to sell before they're done. It might take 3, 6, 9 months. But I can budget for that. But right now I did some looking in town. There were only 4 houses for sale in town. One back in Maumee Landing, real nice one, big house, double lot. And then there's one of these is right there. Probably ought to be on Church Street, to be honest, but
Yeah.
On Canal.
right. But that was a family affair.
Sets back behind a house, doesn't it?
Yeah. But, and then a little one over here on Mervyn and one out on Schaefer that's, probably 75, 80 years old. So there's really not a whole lot to choose from. So what I've looked at as far as my proposal, there are, I bought 8 lots and these are big lots. These are more than twice as big as these lots I'm developing on Oswald Street. And I can you can easily, without asking for any special conditions, like I could go get a survey and get a split at the courthouse. It's no big deal. And, so, and then I've also identified, there is, Barry Stoller owns this whole side of Church Street. Now, he is not I even looked at developing Church Street at one point, but he would be interested in selling this one lot back on what would be Starry Street. And then there are some other ones. The village owns this big lot. I think there could be, that could be a potential lot. There's a big lot here. There's a lot there on the corner. That matters because these lots are gonna have utilities now, right? They're gonna get the benefit of the development. And that's important from the state's perspective as well. But I'm looking at with the lots reconfigured, just mine into 12 parcels with the selling price of 285 I got for 107 Oswald. That would be, if I put that same house and got 285 out of all of them, that would be $3.7 million worth of investment in Antwerp. And with the additional 5 lots, that could be another almost 1.5 million. So looking at some comps, you can see here, Denny and Monica Recker's house, they just sold that. They sold it for $310,000. Their annual taxes are $5,690. And you can see just back in 2020, it was only worth $4,400, and they probably weren't paying $100 in taxes. Then here's the one I built. I presume the tax would be in the $4,000 range. Here's one that Jeremy Hughes did over here by the library. This was a flip, and he sold that for $275. The taxes last year on that were $3,616. So looking at the cost to install the infrastructure though, and I want to point out that I'm proposing this would be coming in from Washington Street, and then it would go to where my lots stop. Is right at 479,961 was my best estimate, and that's with that was running them by all-purpose construction. Just hey, is that in the right ballpark kind of deal? And then of course I did get a solid engineering quote on that. I don't have a good legal quote. I don't know what that would go for. But the whole problem then is going to be how to pay for it. But this new law that came in same time as this red one that goes for the 100+ unit development. This is the residential revolving loan program, the RDRLP, and this is meant for smaller improvements in small towns like this one. It has to be zoned exclusively R1. So we got a check mark there. We're in one of the counties that is approved, and these will not be low income housing units. So we here look at all these two are slides I stole from Ohio Department of Development, but it's going to cover the water, the sewer, the street, the gas lines, electric cost, which I've got the electric mostly in there, although it might need to be updated. But so there are some limitations though. the most that they will look at, it can't be more than $30,000 a lot or 50% of the development cost. So, you know, if it was under 30,000, it'd still only be 50% that they would loan you. Um, the and so it essentially that becomes a really easy calculation because you just take the number of lots you have multiplied by 30,000, that gives you your budget. And could I even do it or not? Right. So and it works. It's close, but it works. And as far as the repayment goes, then the houses in that subdivision or the properties in that subdivision and the would be set up, and this would be where council would have to come in. They would set up a district and say, okay, we're going to define this as this development district. And then for that, for the duration of the loan until it's paid off, then instead of that, the taxes that there are no taxes coming, there's no revenue coming in from it right now anyhow. As that as that revenue increases or as the property values increase, then that money would go towards paying off that loan. And that's a payment in lieu of taxes. So this was my conservative case. This was if the houses were only bringing in $3,500 of revenue for the pilot. If you look at it here, I've got the cost of the development at right around $500,000. With the conservative case, then no property value increases. The 13 lots, that'd be my 12 plus the one that Barry Stoller has agreed to develop. That if I only built one a year, if I only sold one a year, and I can do more than that if they sell, would bring in $45,500 a year. As that accumulates, then you can see I've got two graphs here. One, the bottom one, the red one that shows it paying off around year 17 is with no property value increase, shows it paid off in 17 years. If you look at a 4% property value increase, that is, I mean, you could argue that's overly optimistic, or you could argue that that's possibly maybe conservative also. In that case, then it would pay itself off in about 15 years. So there could also be some special assessments in there. I think that there's some lots in there that are going to benefit that, maybe there's some mechanism where the village could charge fees then for a curb cut or those sewer taps. They could call that some type of not an access fee, but a impact fee, right? You could say we're going to have for this in the legislation. Like there's some people back there that are going to get development that maybe they don't think they want it right now, but maybe someday they will. They should pay their fair share. But that doesn't mean you got to screw grandma. But if the property sold, somebody else decides to develop it, then at that point, then it could be known that, okay, there's going to be $1,000 impact fee for the water line. There's going to be same or more. If actually it should probably be more than that. The tap fees are maybe that'd be on top. I don't. That would really. That's beyond the scope of what this is really intended to be. But these are laws. They've just been passed. These are relevant. These are things that we could utilize, tools that we could utilize to increase the development in the village and build some really nice new houses for families, for retirees. And and just bringing people in to build them is gonna help the economy. So, you know, the jobs, here's something about, street lifespan. So RDRLP, if it's done right, I think there could be, you know, some other things that could get potentially taken care of in that part of town. I'm just focusing on my lots, but, at any rate, if you had any questions,
What per street are you proposing width-wise put in there?
I think that with the RDRLP says that you can, it would be, whatever the state minimum is. And, I think that, if you look at, if you compare it to the other streets, Canal and Cruz, in those cases, you, just to make it equivalent to those, you'd be looking at, you know, a 16 to 18 foot wide street.
So the proposal you have is only for water, sewer, and that's not counting the street?
No, it counts the street.
Streets in
Then I would think you would know how wide it's gonna be if you could figure the cost.
Right.
You know, if you're telling me you're
So-
paying this kind of money, but
Uh-huh.
you're figured a 12-foot street instead of a 16, there's a big difference in cost.
There is.
I don't know
And,
what the minimum is. I tried to find it on the state side. I couldn't come up with it.
right, and the other thing is, Bill, you know, the longer you wait, the higher it's gonna get. And, you know, this is, I feel like a conservative, middle of the road budget, like this is how much money we could put into that street based on the $30,000 a lot.
I see one big problem with your map. You've rerouted your street to make it arc rather than come to the corners. So now you've got the village lot 1227S 00801. You've got Charles Springer's lot, which is 00800. All involved in this arc. And that property there is no man's land. Those properties would have to be resurveyed if you're gonna cut off Starry Street as you have here as abandoned.
Well, I'm proposing that there's no purpose to go up there if we're not gonna build over there. You can still get Springer's lot still has access. I'm not proposing to take any of the village property. I am proposing that the town could consider selling part of that 50 foot of that, lot with the water tower on it. But I'm
My
not
concern
proposing
is
that,
this
the
arc.
only person that
Who's
would be
gonna
giving
own
up
that?
property would be me. That's
You
all.
make that arc, you've just cut off Springer's property. He has no access to that arc.
He's got better access. He'll have better access after that than he's got right now. Right now, he's got zero access. He's got a lot less driveway to run now than, how's he even gonna get over there?
Hey,
I
but
mean-
I'm not sure how you benefit by changing the layout of the road from the existing plat. It's a 60-foot carve out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and you still
I
have
could
to
get an
connect-
extra lot.
you st-
If I didn't do that, I could split that 19 and 20. I could split that. There's enough there. I could make 3 lots out of it. So let me tell you guys, I've gone over this like every which way, but, from Sunday. I am not, this is a preliminary proposal, you know, if, I mean, that this is just part of the process to get something started. I feel like by having that arc, then that reduces the length of the street, that reduces the cost. It also then technically, then that is the way that I designed it now was it would not technically be a corner lot anymore.
That's true, but the lot itself is 90 feet by 130. So there's no way you could split that lot the other direction because the depth would only be 90 feet and the requirement is it has to be 130 feet. You know,
Okay, but to get funding for the RDRLP, then
yeah, the
The whole
RLP says
idea
it
is-
eliminates all zoning for that addition. If you get that loan, it's written right in there that the zoning laws are vanished to the developer's whim or whatever he wants. And I don't
that's
see
not
that,
true.
it's right in that literature.
Well,
that you sent us.
but Bill, it's really you guys. And the whole point is, you know, it does, one thing that's not going anywhere is it has to be a R1, single family
Well, that's
residence.
true.
So that is zoning. That's not Wild West. That is zoned R1 under this and that doesn't change. And as far as reconfiguring lots, that is not zoning. Like I could combine lots,
That's
I can
true.
split lots.
You can't
That
make
has
the argument.
nothing to do with zoning.
You can't make that argument unless you go to a variance, because that's the way the original plot shows it.
It would have to be approved by council.
It'd have to be approved by the zoning appeals board,
It,
but you just made a
the
change.
appeals board, I think the planning committee, I think this board would have more to say about it. Like you would have to review it. Like we're going over it now and let me get a notebook because I'm gonna take some notes and I take this seriously. I'm.
Well,
going
that's
to
my
adjust
opinion
it.
on it anyway. When you change any type of configuration with a street,
But you're saying the minimum depth of a street of a lot has to be you're trying to say the minimum depth of the street has to be how much?
well, I told you the minimum depth of lot, not the street.
But the lot is already 90 foot. Bill, you can't ask me to do something that's already been
I'm telling
done.
you, the minimum depth of your lots must be 130 feet.
But they're
Minimum
already
width-
platted at 90.
No, they're not. They're plotted at 130.
Where am I going to less than 100?
Well, I'm telling you, if you wanted to make that art or change those lots in the front, that first lot's only 90 foot wide.
Well, the width only has to be 50, I thought.
All right. I'm saying you can't put the face of that lot facing to the west. Yeah,
So it kind of, that corner lot, the diagonal one,
yeah, the one you want to round off, you said, well, I can make that into three.
well, what's the front?
The frontage is 90 feet, the depth is 130.
So I'm okay with getting rid of the curb. And honestly, I feel like I can,
Here's your lot, Gabe.
yeah,
That's on the auditor's office. That's what comes up on
that
the
one there.
approved zoning map.
90, that's what it is right now. It's 90 by 130. It's 130 this way. It's 130 east and west, and it's 90 wide, north to south. Because those lots all face west right now.
Right.
So I'm hearing
Well, the way I
a
look at it-
strong,
That lot says it's on the
Star
Bell
Street.
Street
Star.
address. Star. That one probably.
oh, no, that one actually, it says it's 111 Bell Street.
So that front of it is on Bell Street, 90 foot wide,
Mhm.
130 deep, going down Starry Street. The west side of that lot's 130 deep. By 90,
It's not, if it's 130, it's 130 east and west. I can go to the auditor's website, but, I'm not,
Gabe, the other thing I don't quite understand, and I guess I need clarification. So according to your sketch here, the roadway that you propose to build would end at your last lot.
yeah,
which still provides for considerable gap in the existing roadway
Mhm.
and presumably an existing gap in the water sewer.
No, the
utilities.
water and sewer would run.
But, okay, well, your drawing didn't show it in that fashion, at least not on the
It's-
sewer.
Yeah, and the sewer wouldn't have to go any further than that. The sewer could stop there.
Oh, it's all going.
Because
that
everybody,
direction.
like Geyers have sewer, water and sewer. So that they wouldn't need it. It wouldn't really serve any purpose to go past there for them.
So you're gonna make a dead end run heading west on the sewer. Is that what I'm-
Yeah, I
is that
mean,
what I'm hearing?
and then if somebody wanted to pick it up, they could start there.
Okay.
Um,
Have you had conversations with the utility guys about making that connection down at Washington?
Yes, and, so
Is there a
there's
sewer?
nothing on Washington that you could connect to. The water line there is a shut off on Washington, but it's an old cementitious asbestos laced, pipe that they don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole, because anytime you do, it,
Crumbles.
yeah. So for the water, you have to go on the other side of Cruz and bring that then all the way west. So that one would, and they're really happy about that because they want to tie that into that other line. So they got when it breaks down,
They got a loop.
right, it can backfeed from what I put in, what I'm proposing.
So back to the sewer though, help me understand, do you have a sewer connection
The
readily
sewer,
available? Where would that be?
the sewer connection is, you can see it on the map, but it is just about, if you look at the line between the town water tower lot and Springer's lot, it's right there about at the center of those two. I got about like that.
You're proposing it's right underneath where it says 1227S00801, that kind of a grayed out area. But you're saying that's the sewer there?
No, it's right there. It's a little dot. You can see it. It's a manhole.
Oh, it's right in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah.
Or corner.
But I will say this, it's a nice wide 60-foot
Yeah,
right
see
away,
that.
which compared to this 40-foot we've been dealing with over on Oswald is dream.
yeah, that whole Murphy's Addition's all 40-foot.
Is it?
Mhm.
So your street's 40, Highland is? Okay. So as far as this lot, should pull my whole file. So the frontage on that lot is 90 and it's 132 feet. So I hear what Bill's saying is you can't split that into two east to west. Cause you wouldn't have the 100-foot depth. Although I do agree with you. It does relax some zoning requirements. The whole idea is that you would eliminate some restrictions that are impeding development. It's not an elimination of zoning, but there are some things in that law, and I sent it to you,
Right.
that, it can't be more, the village can't require a higher standard for the street than what the state requires. And as far as that goes, I think I would
Well, it also
defer to,
covers, the village can't require off-street parking, the village can't require garages on the site.
which we don't anyhow.
Yep, we don't have that
We
either.
don't, and or off-street parking in R1. We don't have R1. Well, there are some off-street parking requirements in in B2, I think.
No, I think in R1 you have to have two spaces, two
And-
off-street parking.
And I
spaces.
would have that.
Right.
Yeah, that's
According
it's
to-
honestly, not-
according to that
and it's gonna be,
loan, it would you wouldn't have to have.
but I'm telling you, I'm gonna have, I'm gonna have 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2 car garage with a driveway that's at least wide enough for 2 cars side by side.
My understanding of this proposed loan is actually a loan that the village takes out. You have no risk involved in it.
That is not true. Because who's gonna come up with the other 50%?
Well, that's what I'd like to know.
I'm on the hook for half of it.
But, and I guess my question is, why is the village on the hook for the other half? Like, why
So
are
the
we?
village isn't. It
Okay.
will go on, it goes to the county treasurer.
Right, where the taxes and the property value go. But again, if we circle back to the thing you said at the very beginning, if they eliminate property taxes, which we don't know how that'll all end up, then who's responsible? Then how do we get paid back? Like, how does the money get there? How does the village get their money at that point, I
Yeah.
guess?
So, they're not paying property taxes, they're making a payment in lieu of taxes, a pilot payment. So then it would be calculated the same way that property taxes are calculated. But those properties would have to cover the cost of the lot. And if there were an issue where there was a shortfall, the village could issue a special assessment and you could do it fairly on those properties, and those property owners that are benefiting from those infrastructure improvements then would get an assessment on their taxes, and most of it's probably gonna be on me or people that I sell my houses to. And then the village doesn't have to have any liability. I mean, you have to be the vehicle that allows it to happen, but it doesn't have to fundamentally change your budget. It's just but the state is not gonna loan the money directly to a developer. It has to be run through the village.
Well, that part of it, be honest with you, we have nothing to do with it as a zoning
Right.
board, We can't go, yeah, that looks like a good deal, or
Right.
no, we think that, because that's not part of our
Right.
privy.
We're concerned with
Right.
roads, sewers.
Yeah,
and-
we're
Yes.
concerned
Right.
about the
So,
layout.
so back to the question
Well,
I
we got
started a
the
minute
acting
ago, if
mayor
we
and
can just
its
sidebar the
councilman.
financial
So
conversation.
really what we should focus on is, like, so that would really come down to, is council interested in helping make this happen? Like, that's really no different than what you voted on for the red development project.
Oh, it's a lot different.
I was gonna say, it's,
It's
I
a
mean,
lot
it is,
different.
Gabe, that's 100 houses and
Right.
that's.
That's
development, a
huge. Like, this is
development
a piddly little project compared to that.
Yeah.
And you guys, and that is, I think it'd be great if it happened. It's not gonna be, and I've talked to them. I mean, I offered to buy some of that property and develop it, and we looked at, I know what they're planning to do out there. And it's not gonna be, those lots are smaller than this. They're talking about, below 50-foot wide. And when you guys approved it, you talk about eliminating the zoning.
Nothing's
like,
been approved. That was just
Yeah,
a
but-
proposal.
Yeah, but if you do I'm for it. I think it's the more the merrier we get. But you're talking about a lot of duplexes, multifamily, it's gonna be a lot of multifamily type of housing. This is a solid, single-family residential development in a single family, actually, it's in the middle, it's surrounded by R2, actually. So this is the only single-family residential option. I mean, there's a couple lots back by you that I don't know if they'll last this year or not.
Mhm.
think they're about all sold.
Yeah. So, you know, but as far as this board's concerned, you know, um, the money part is, is really, I mean, it's important, but I guess what I'm looking for is some feedback from you guys and, some support. You know, I'd like to see if I mean, I bought these, I guess I should have done this first and then bought. But I'm not,
I mean, my opinion, and I'm new to this also, like, whatever. The reason I was asking about the money is because obviously as the mayor, I kind of have to keep track of that stuff.
sure,
I'm not opposed to you putting houses there and stuff. I'm just trying to figure out why, like, for instance, the addition I live in, Ole didn't ask for anything. He did all that on his own and built all that stuff. And so then he gets all the profit from it when he sells all those things. And it's kind of like a contained little world. And so that's kind of what I'm asking, why we're doing something like, I guess, trying to find why the villages would back it, other than the fact I agree we need houses and all that stuff. But I'm just saying, like,
well, and there was some collaboration going on back there with McMichael and All Purpose Construction. I think you'll see the president and CEO of All Purpose Construction's names on some of those lots back there. So it wasn't all Ole, like they, you know, you gotta put a team together. You gotta have some support. So this is big enough, like I mean, I'm not independently wealthy where I can just put $500,000 into this. And, you know, financing a big project like this is how things get done. The state has a funding program that's set up for small towns in our part of the state, in communities like ours. And it's a very, I feel like it's a very cost conscious. It puts a cap on cost. It puts a cap on the, what kind of development you can do. You can't just put an apartment building in there or something like that. It has to be single family. It can't be low income. So you're not eliminating zoning with this. It does ease some of the regulations. I feel like we've already got pretty common sense zoning already. And I feel like there's been a lot of input from community members. And so as far as, you know, Gabe Oberlin and Marita Alarm Builders getting some kind of a sweetheart deal, I don't think, I'm still on the hook for $250,000 up front that I gotta come up with to cover my half. And then we're gonna have to figure out how that's all gonna wash out so that some of these other people that are getting stuff are gonna pay their fair share too.
Okay, so let's stop talking about money for just a
Okay.
minute. Are we done
Yeah, my
with that?
fault.
Okay, I'm sorry. I want to get us back on track. So our focus here is roadways and infrastructure, right? So, so we have a sewer available to us. Do you know the depth of the sewer? And have you talked to the utility guys? Is this something that we can expand to put load on and not create any new problems?
Yes, that is brand new and it is deep.
Okay.
And
And then,
I'd say it's about 18 to 20 feet deep, something like that.
Okay.
So you would start at the beginning of your lots there
Correct.
off Cruise Street.
No, the sewer starts, it's over by the water tower. So I gotta
Yes.
I gotta come
You're
in
gonna
from
run-
opposite directions.
Okay, yes, you're gonna run it right down the
One
back
side
to
of
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
okay, and then, at least according to your sketch, your roadway is gonna end at the end of your lot, but, there is still now a gap in, you know, perceived roadway of what is existing and what you're gonna build. So
Essentially,
how do we
there's no
bridge,
road in there at
how do
all.
we bridge that gap?
Yeah, I think we can all agree the road, at least when I looked at the drawing, that was the one thing I think was gonna be the hurdle, right?
Right.
Okay, I was just making sure. we're all
Like,
on
how do
the
we
same
figure out
page.
how
Yeah,
to pay for?
Yeah, I think the road was the
Yeah, you gotta
really,
connect it. to
really
Cruise.
difficult part.
So here's what you could do. So the 30,000 a lot only comes from lots that could be developed.
Correct.
Yes.
And
Come from lots that were developed. You know,
if it's an existing house, it's not eligible.
well, yeah, I'm saying, but you can't get a loan on it, empty lots. You gotta have a house on it. You have to build a house on there before you can collect it,
Mhm.
correct?
I mean,
You're
I
saying
could
you can
sell
collect it on all
lots.
these lots, but yet none of them are developed. But you can still collect the 30,000 or whatever you're proposing. You're proposing that you can collect money off all.
We're
these
talking about
lots.
money again, Bill. I'm sorry. I want to shut down the money.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how we're gonna pay for the road.
But yeah, so it's not so much about the money, it's about who's responsible for what, right? So, Gabe's property ends at a certain point, and now we have existing homeowners who did not develop that property necessarily, who have undeveloped roadway that's owned by the village, right? So now we've got kind of a conundrum of what do we do with this 250 feet
Is that
of
what it is?
undeveloped
From
distance?
Cruise to the start of your lots is 200
Yeah,
feet
something like
probably.
that. Mhm.
Yep, from the road surface on Cruise, yeah, it's gotta be close to.
Cause it's only maybe 12 foot, if that, it might only be 10 foot.
And you're
It's a
proposing
driveway.
coming off Washington.
Yeah. And I think if I was living back there and I had to get on the highway, that's the way I'd go.
Mhm.
I don't know how Jason will feel about that.
Right.
I think you
I
need to come up with how wide the street's gonna be, find out what that state minimum is.
Hmm.
In order to get any
So-
backing, because
Well, I mean, I
We don't
looked
know
at,
what-
what do we have? What do we have? I think Cruise is 16. I think Canal, I put a tape on it. I think Canal's 18. Right? If the village is willing to have a 16-foot street there, why can't I have a 16-foot street?
I'm just asking.
I mean,
Oh.
to me, that'd be the village minimum, like
Yeah.
what are the current,
At one
Street
time, I
width.
was surfing around looking for this stuff, and I don't recall, and this has been a number of years ago. I don't recall if this was part of a state package, and I think it might have been. A one-way street, the minimum width of a one-way street is 15 feet. We have a number of streets in the village that are below that. I'm just saying, from a state standpoint, a one-way street minimum width is 15. A
Mhm.
two-way street minimum width is 20 feet.
Mhm. Okay, so
So
we'll figure out a way to make it 20
the
feet.
suggested minimum width of a two-way street is 24 feet.
Mhm.
The absolute minimum is 20, as far as I know. Now,
So,
we can dig through the onion layers and find that out again, but just
Mhm.
from a gentleman's standpoint, you might as well plan on 20 feet. You're not gonna get a variance for 16 feet or 14 feet. We can't continue to have bad behavior follow bad behavior, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm planning on
so-
putting sidewalks
Yeah,
in,
I'm just,
and I think, maybe you don't get as nice of a light posts are cheap compared to that street.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can't kill good for the sake of perfect.
Right.
Like, this has been an abandoned subdivision for 50 years. And, we can keep mowing the hay.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be a lot nicer. and
Actually, I
better-
don't think you can mow the hay in there because it's residential, but
Well,
that's a whole other, that's a whole other thing. That's
yeah,
not-
I mean,
Go ahead, keep going.
so
Sorry.
if you wanna
you're allowed to write
talk
fast.
about that, we can, but,
You said part of your electricals there, is that underground electrical? you're
no,
putting?
it's all overhead. It's there. It runs right down the middle in the back. And there's a utility easement in the back also. I think it's about, like 30 feet, 15 outside. There's plenty of room to run utilities back there.
B2, it's all required underground.
Right. But if, if, if you were putting in a driveway, you know, for sidewalks or what, you wouldn't be like, well, aren't you gonna put in your neighbor's sidewalks too? You know, as far as this gap in the street, I think it's an issue and I think it needs to be addressed. And I think, you know, but I think everybody'd like to see a way where, cause I got a call from Chad Geyer about, he called the village and the administrator and asked him about like, what can we do to get my street fixed? And he's like, well, why don't you call Gabe Wilburn? And, you know, and I mean, I'd love for that to be fixed. I would really think that there's gotta be some way to do it. Maybe that though is gonna be a separate deal. It's a special assessment and you're gonna upgrade the street and the sidewalks on Cruz and that end of Bell and then, so, you know, maybe you finance that. I mean, this program, it only is intended for lots that are gonna get developed with a house on them. So I think you could maybe, there's a couple lots. There-
Have you had an opportunity to speak to anyone involved in that process? Or have you just been out
The
gathering data,
RDRLP.
whatever, yeah? You spoke to.
So I've spoken to the Paulding County Economic Development Director.
Okay,
The Defiance County Economic Development Director.
yeah,
I talked to the Maumee Valley Planning Commission. And I talked to a office in Columbus for the Department of Development.
okay, and so in the course of those conversations, were you able to have any candid discussion about this dilemma that we have in a missing road where you need a road?
I think there are programs that you could look at, but they were probably mostly gonna be a loan and not a grant. The need exceeds the resources. So,
Are you better off coming in cruising for now? Instead of going out Washington, and would that shorten up anything and make it?
Well, right now, it's just the opposite. Right
Effective.
now, he only has access to Washington.
well,
You know what I mean? That,
I see what you're saying. So look at,
and that way you have one entrance for now, and then if something comes available grant wise or whatever, finish it
So-
out to Washington or. And I haven't looked at it that close to see what the difference is in footage.
you're right,
It seems like there's quite a bit more footage going on out to Washington, right? Or
but to
not?
get all the way back down, to Barry Stoller's
Mhm.
lot is almost to Washington. So then I've got,
Oh, it is, okay.
right, cause
I've
he's
I've
actually
never
south of
obviously
East
drove back
Washington.
there. I've just looked at it.
There's
on
not
maps.
much reason to go.
Right.
I mean, it's been there our whole life and it's just
Mhm.
like, what's
I
nobody,
didn't know it was back there until just probably 5 years ago. I didn't know that was a road or deeded as a road or whatever.
so I have looked at that. I mean, I could check at the, I still feel like from a logistics standpoint.
Better going the other way.
Yeah, cause otherwise then you gotta go back, you're coming down Canal, you gotta go through that really narrow S curve and then come back out and. Versus you could, if you
Mhm.
come right out on Washington, you're on Erie.
Yeah.
You take one left turn, you hit the stop sign and you're heading out of town. And that's why I kinda like that, putting that curve on Bell Street, even though it cost me a lot. But then it also,
Makes it nicer.
yeah, and, but,
I would say from my perspective of it, as far as what you got drawn up, Gabe, if you would eliminate the curve, because now you're changing boundary lines on that corner as far as who owns what. You'd have to get those lots resurveyed or whatever for access. I really wouldn't, I can't see anything wrong with this as
Mhm.
far as the zoning prospect of it, like you say, you're splitting the lots, you're within the tolerance of the zoning part of it. But as far as the rest of it, that's not gonna be I don't know where you, probably have to appeal to council, I guess. Get on the agenda and talk to them as far as the financing side of it.
Right, well,
I would love to see more lots, obviously, in town. We need them.
Yeah, I'm absolutely not
Right,
opposed to
we-
this
I-
development, Gabe. That's not the
Exactly.
point of my conversation.
just
I'm
gotta
trying
make
to
sure-
understand the
Yeah.
mechanics of how do the people who live there get from Cruz to their driveway? You know, driving through muck in
Only thing when I looked, that was it. That is the one hangup I foresee for you,
Mhm.
is the road. And
Mhm.
other than that, yeah, I agree.
if the,
And
if,
it's an impasse because you don't own those parcels to
Right.
include in the development, so.
and if they'd
I
have
don't know.
made this, the guy that had, what was it?
Nap.
That naps there, if
Yeah.
they'd have made him run that street, cause that's good heavy base in there. He would drove semis on that. If they'd have had him come out more and then come down the right of way instead of the way they did it, the base would have been there if nothing else. And um, they don't want anything to do with this. They would love to
Not
not
not do
it
anything,
happen.
yeah. Like I said, we need the lots in town. I mean, I'm definitely for it if we can make it happen, but making it happen right, I guess, is what we're looking for, right?
Well,
But I mean, it's gonna be wonky anyway on both ends because, even at a state minimum, you're gonna put in a 20-foot roadway.
okay.
With curbs, right? And at both ends, you're gonna.
I don't know if it requires curbs.
You're gonna, well, I don't know either, but I'm just gonna say, you're gonna connect to something that is less than that.
I know it's gonna-
Dramatically less than
Yeah.
that,
And
right?
Yeah. Yeah, cause
So-
Washington Street's nowhere close to even probably 60.
It looks
foot
like,
wide.
about 10 foot wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something.
I think it's just a little gravel lane so they can get to the water. tower.
Well, that part of it for sure.
I'll drive down there tomorrow and check it out. I've never
Yeah.
really drove down to see that. I should have.
Yeah, it's kinda like Church Street, it goes back away.
Right.
It's nowhere close. You
Mm-hmm.
go across the street to Weber Street, it's worse. It's
Yeah.
paved, but it's. not-
Those
that-
I don't
going
really
the other
see
way.
to having any financially, I don't see how those are very viable with no
Going the other way,
infrastructure.
Weber.
There's 3 on Weber that are, I see they're up for sale. And the ones on Church Street that aren't even for sale, that just, well, Barry Stoller thinks he owns Church Street, but I'm not. That is
Yeah,
not.
I
doesn't affect
haven't
me.
looked at that.
Not our deal.
Yeah.
So I think, that, and I've talked, the one other group I've talked to is, I talked to the president of the CIC. And then I understand the CIC had paid for, was gonna pay for the engineering out here, and that was something that he had offered on this development, if that were to get approved, that there could be
Some financing there.
some assistance, yeah. I think that what I need is this commission's blessing to present this to council, that I've got some ideas that then the council, because if I don't have the approval from council to get that, to apply for a loan, even if I put down 50% down, then I don't have a project to even go and talk to the bank about getting the money.
Oh. It's maybe not my place to talk about money, and I know I've been trying to avoid this, but what you need to do in order to get council's support is convince them that the village will not be held liable for the monies.
Mhm.
And it's the general understanding that, within the verbiage of that whole nonsense, that they can be. right?
I
So
don't,
that's
I-
why you need
yeah.
that legal
that's why I'm
piece in
saying,
there. I think if it's structured
you know,
properly.
I think you need to understand that
solicitor
subject
can
matter.
make, if we work, if it's short, then you could, on an annual basis, and it could be short in the beginning. Because the first couple of years, there's not gonna
Making
be,
the money.
there's only one house, that's not gonna be enough to cover
Mm.
the payment. So then if you did a special assessment to make up the difference and then issued that, on a feet of frontage basis or something like that, then I think that would be fair. And at that point, you would already have, you would have the infrastructure. It'd be like, it's not like you're paying for nothing at that point. You actually
yeah,
have something to show for
it
it.
would increase the cost of your homes if the lots had an appraisal attached to them. But that would all have to come up front.
Well, they have capped how much you can increase somebody's property taxes, I believe at 4%. That's a done deal. So as far as these people coming up and having a huge 1-year increase, that at least has been fixed. And honestly, I don't know that we were really ever overvalued, sorry, Matt, to begin with, but, so,
So your lots can't be more than 30,000 according to this. And you got 13 lots there.
right, that's counting Barry Stollers. And so in order to hit that, in order to hit that amount in the budget to pay for it, then you have to include the lots that are gonna benefit. So there's Springer's lot,
The town's got that
there's
lot.
one that's Gibson's. If the town could split that lot and make that a potential building site, then,
I don't see
There's-
that happening. That's access to the water tower. That's why they've got that lot. So they need to move equipment in there to say rebuild it or whatever. They're not gonna,
okay,
I would
Well-
not think that would be an option.
so.
Yeah, so I don't know how we get past the impasse on, both ends of your roadway. Yeah, I think that's gonna be a pretty big hurdle. From a zoning standpoint, you're not asking for any variances or exceptions to anything within, the program. Other than we need to iron out what is the state minimum roadway definition, right?
Mhm.
Curbs, not curbs, I don't know. Because in this state grant, our zoning ordinance says you gotta be at 24 feet with curbs.
Mhm.
And I think that, I think what that thing is saying is you need to relax that. And, we don't have 24-foot and curbs in very many places in the village. So, there's no reason to think that we need to have that level of niceness or a continuation of two roadways that currently don't exist. So, yeah, I think there's a little bit of homework to be done on that before we can, iron out what you're gonna do with your corner intersection.
How wide is the drive going back from Cruz to your lots right now? Whatever that is,
The one that
that goes to
It's-
Geyers and,
yeah, it's
and Naps
10 or
and-
12.
Is that all it is?
Yeah, it's a driveway.
Yeah,
Actually, it might be a little narrow for a driveway.
right.
So I need to find that state minimum. Which, that's doable. And, I think I found something on ODOT. That had some different layouts and
Yeah, they talk about radiuses and all that nonsense. I
And-
found this once upon a time too. It's
Yeah.
been a number of years ago.
and grade and
Mhm.
ditches and.
Yep,
Things that,
crown, all that nonsense. So,
right. It's in there, but it's not nice and pretty and,
Yeah, it's not
Face-
user friendly to
No,
get to.
no, it's not like they're aiming to get a bunch of clicks.
So you're saying that somewhere in ours is the 15 and 20.
in this ordinance 94,
I couldn't find that.
yeah, it's 24 foot. It's in this.
Yeah, and we went over that, it's. I mean, it'd been. gone
Minor
through
streets,
and-
24 foot. I don't see that there's any need to strictly enforce that. You know, I would certainly see that, you know, at a minimum, we could provide for a variance. We wouldn't do the variance, but you could certainly get a variance to do that. Just,
Mhm.
just as a gentleman's agreement, because we don't have 24 foot in curbs.
Yeah.
Only one place.
So, Brian,
Me, it's
who's
just the
the
layout.
street department? Maybe I could talk to them next, if that seems to be the big,
Yeah, we just got.
are you on that one, John?
No, I am not.
Oh.
Actually. Yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah, with public service, right? Street alleys and street lighting.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll
So
be,
that's
I'll be
John,
dang.
John DeVore is the chair, but
Yeah,
Jason
John
Franks
DeVore.
and then John.
Yeah,
also.
I guess I am. I'm sorry, Dave.
Yeah,
Sorry, this is just as new to me
Right.
as everybody else.
There's the.
Guess what
new-
you got volunteered for, John?
I think
Well,
he just emailed it out to everybody.
he did
Yeah,
like a
so-
day or two ago.
Yeah, no.
I looked at it and I'm like, oh man, chairperson's sweet.
Yeah,
Supposed to be
you
a
need
hard
to take
copy of
notes,
your
John.
packet.
That's the.
I already do. Look,
Yeah,
I have.
I know.
I got a whole thing of Gabe's stuff right here. I
Nice.
got a whole thing. I'm ready.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
are you
So
planning on
should
making
I-
that a square corner then, Gabe?
I'm o-
Street?
If that's what you guys feel like that is,
I think it's pretty.
That's my personal recommendation.
we're off the corner.
Yeah, you've got a lot of
Leave the
congestion.
street the way it is.
I would say so. Otherwise, you created a lot of congestion on the other side is who owns what.
Well, it's all right, it'd just be, I would be giving.
Right.
I would be giving additional right away. Nobody would lose anything except for me. And it was kind of a toss up between. So, but one added benefit I can make an extra lot in there.
Right.
So
You
that,
could tee
that's
that road.
another 30,000 in our budget, but. If you calculate the difference of the length of that curve street versus that corner,
That's your
Well,
expense.
but
Yeah.
keep in mind those corner lots need an additional 15 feet.
right?
So here again, we have to plumb through the
I-
weeds a little bit. I don't think you can put a house on a 50-foot wide lot on a corner.
No, you can't.
So you're not gonna be able to just split that lot. in half
Maybe
and
a-
go and get
Yeah,
it.
you
yeah.
can't split.
Maybe if
90.
it was a trailer park.
Right.
But we're not looking at a trailer park. This is gonna be a nice, really nice subdivision, once we get it in.
Okay.
So should
Do
I,
you have this phone number for Jeff?
I got the board, okay,
I mean, this is on the website.
yeah, but, all right.
Actually,
I'm
let's take
I'm
that
just
picture.
trying to- Yeah, that might
Good luck.
Oh my goodness, where is it? Oh,
appreciate you guys taking time out of your night. I know these are, yeah. And I'm sorry it went so long.
Oh, you're good. Oh, that's good.
We are all busy and.
Yeah.
It's a good project. I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
We
it's
can
what
make
we
it
want.
happen.
It'd be great to see it happen.
All right,
Forward, if
well,
you're just looking at it.
Got
it's
some
like-
big hurdles to get
Well,
over. I don't know
thank
how you
you.
get there.
Yeah, it's just, you know.
Nice seeing you, Matt.
It's great. I'm all for it. So,
Yeah. You guys gotta do anything more on that, property on New Street or?
I have no idea. It's still just sitting there. It's sitting there. His mailbox is off in the ground, buried in snow.
Brian, before we close our meeting, I just had one more old business item I wanted to
Oh.
touch base on as a follow-up. In our last meeting, we had asked for the village to consult with the solicitor to find out if our draft, ordinance update, or ordinance we would add into our zoning book, was a better fit than the existing ordinance. Or to look at those two and compare and to make a recommendation on whether or not we should abolish the ordinance and put it into the zoning book or leave it the way it is. I don't know if that ever happened
Yep, it did.
with the solicitor.
Last zoning meeting, I brought it up under old business, which it was.
Okay.
And I asked him about that and he said that he had a little bit of a hurdle as far as what the village wanted, whether they wanted to have zoning inspector also in charge of
All right,
I think
the
you-
enforcement,
Thanks, Keith.
thanks,
For
guys.
fines and
Thanks.
stuff.
Good evening.
because he said that was kind of a gray area in there. He wasn't sure on a receipt, and we wanted, Village was not interested in having two positions for zoning inspector and
Right.
so he was gonna write it up that way. And the way he talked, he would bring it back to council next week.
Okay.
So that's where we're at.
I mean, that'd be-
have brought it
Yeah,
up.
was
That'd really be the only like next thing that we need from a meeting standpoint, but and I don't see the need to schedule a meeting now until something else should bubble up. Right?
Yeah, we should find out next Wednesday, I think, a little bit more about that. If I remember right. When it first come out, but,
We're meeting next week, it's Thursday.
On the council meetings.
Yeah, council meeting on Wednesday.
yeah. 'Cause
Don't
we
mind
were-
me.
It's in
They
my
all start to
notes,
run
we
together.
did bring it up, and I think he was kind of playing on what we actually wanted to do.
Right.
I am on record being very strong that, ordinance is in the zoning book, and then,
Well,
we keep this pathway here.
yeah, and
here.
I think probably from like a future work standpoint, one of the things we probably need to identify is how many other ordinances are hiding in the drawer
I don't
that
know.
have any reasonable value that we need to evaluate bringing into the zoning book and obsoleting the ordinance.
Yeah, that was,
You know, it's just like
something I
this
couldn't
ordinance
find
here
out.
for the subdivision. It's like,
Yeah, it's a subdivision. It's about like zoning.
Right.
I mean,
and so, it's sitting outside of the zoning book and
I did
would
get some
never-
pushback on that. That they thought that if we moved an ordinance, a village ordinance such as these 94-16, 94-17 into the zoning book, and then if there was an update, like the 2018, whatever it is, where they update it, then the zoning book had to be updated with it, and they thought that would be too confusing to try and keep.
my recommendation would be to, shut off or whatever you have to do legally. I don't know. Shut off the ordinance.
Boy, as a guy who creates manages documents and does document control for a living. How we rev those or just drive me insane.
There has to be a way,
That's
there
my
has to be a
personal
way to
opinion.
to
Yeah,
mark an ordinance obsolete and just put it to
please
the-
reference,
Put it to the dustbin, I don't
please
know. but-
reference the zoning book section, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I have to imagine you just pass an ordinance,
Well,
let's say
for instance,
2026. Migrating ordinances, blah, 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 to the zoning book, zoning ordinance. These records are obsolete, please reference zoning book.
Yeah.
Date established. I don't know, I'm making legalese up in my head.
Right, but-
Like, something like that.
It sounds good,
You have an
John.
ordinance that simply says, yes, all of these ordinances are now obsolete. They're migrated. Please reference that document moving forward, right?
well, it's like this is amendment of the ordinance 94-16. It only amends part of it, not the whole ordinance. So that's why they gotta have, when this document was done and to what document it affects. They can't eliminate the whole thing because they didn't rewrite the whole thing into this amendment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
personally, I
the
think
parts that-
when we do that, we should just,
Yeah, that's the way this one was done. That's why they.
you
there was
just
some
read the
conflict
whole
about a pushback.
document, because it's just cleaner that way, rather than saying, hey, we're updating just this section. We're updating the ordinance.
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
this one here
primary
basically
changes
changed
are
the
going
footage of the allowed, throwaway and the primary streets and that kind of stuff, minor streets.
Or what they should have done was just rewrite that ordinance in the way that they
So
wanted
is
to
yours a
do.
different version than what I have? Because mine doesn't look like that at all.
That's one section of your
Yeah,
ordinance
that
that
was the
you have.
amendment to it. I think I sent them out.
Yes,
But
Oh,
they-
yeah, because I couldn't find the originals. I couldn't
Yeah.
find the 94-16s or 17s, but I had that. And I go, well,
Yeah, that's,
that's one section rather than,
yeah, see, that says 24 feet.
okay.
Right, and so does
Yeah.
so does the other one. That's why I say minor streets are 24-foot minimum in our village, but in the state, I believe they're 20-foot.
Yeah, I didn't know. I looked for it. and-
Like I say,
It's
as
not
far as I know, we
user-friendly.
only have one roadway. Once
I
you
can
get off
tell you right now,
49
yeah,
or River Street, it's 24 feet.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's probably not very many 24 footers. I think you'd struggle on
So-
20 sometimes.
Well, we're gonna adjourn the meeting.
Well, I say we adjourn the meeting. We didn't actually make any resolutions or anything, so all in favor, stand up.
Aye.
It's nice to see some of these buried lots starting to maybe come back to